tried to get plastic completely out of my life, but I couldn't do it because plastic is everywhere. Plastic is great. Plastic was invented as part of an effort to save elephants by replacing ivory in billiard balls. But plastic has a dark side. 90% of adults have chemicals from plastics in their bodies. Which plastics in your house emit toxic gases? What's safe for kiddos and what's not? Could plastic be making you fat? The chemicals in plastic may cause obesity. Plastic hides in some unexpected places. Toxic plastics can be anywhere. What exactly does BPA-free mean? Plastic isn't recycled very much. A lot of it ends up in landfills, or even worse. Plastic is a problem. Let me tell you what to do about it.
Hello, I'm excited to be here with my good friend Mike. Michael, to people who aren't as close as we are. SanClements, who's an expert in plastic.
Yes.
Yeah, so you have a little list there. Should we go through that?
Sure.
This is a nice, handy top, is it 10?
Yeah, there's 10 things.
Yeah, so this is a list of what?
So it's a list of sort of 10 things that you can basically do to reduce the amount of plastic you use very easily, kind of improve your health and avoid some of those toxins, and sort of eat better in the process. And that's sort of the way. And I kind of think of...
And masturbate better.
And masturbate better, that's part of it.
So stay tuned for that
So
one.
stay tuned, yeah, right.
Okay, so what's number one?
Okay, so one of the first things I think of, and it's so easy, is just renewable grocery bags. And in a lot of places, or reusable grocery bags, in a lot of places, like Boulder, people are already implementing fees for plastic bags. So you're saving yourself a little money by just bringing that reusable grocery bag, and you're cutting down on countless plastic waste. It's just so simple. It's just one of the easiest things.
So you just keep some tote bags with you in your car or in your bike or...
Yeah, exactly. We have a bunch of them. We keep a few in our car. I usually have one stuffed in my work bag in case I stop at the grocery store on the way home and there's not room in there. And then you always have a tote bag. They always come in handy for something, whatever you're going to the beach or somewhere. You can always throw stuff in them. They're great. The second, which I think is really funny, is that when we do go grocery shopping, there's a roll of plastic bags at the grocery store for produce. There's no reason you need to put a cucumber in that plastic bag.
Right.
But we're sort of trained to do it. So
God already gave it its own wrapping.
yeah. So you can just not use those. It's, and if you're buying something like green beans or something, and you can buy reusable produce bags too. They sell them at like a lot of grocery stores.
Yeah, I have a bunch of those.
Yeah. And so that's great.
And you just have to get the tear weight or something on them.
Yeah,
you do add weight.
Yeah, you want to tear it, just know the weight of your bag, so that it's subtracted out. So those are two easy things. Another great thing is reusable water bottles and coffee cups. Just having one of those is a great way to
And not plastic.
Not plastic. And so what's really interesting is BPA free. Like when you look at what that really means, it's often now substituted with like BPS or BPF, which a lot of research is showing might be more dangerous or is equally as dangerous as BPA. So it's really good to go for like a stainless steel water bottle.
Yeah, if Americans get what you just said, we'll freak out. Like the way we freaked out about BPA in 2008, was it? So I interviewed a major natural products company that's one of only two at the time. This was at a Natural Products Expo East or West. And they wouldn't go on record, but to their credit, they would talk at least. And they said, we've got rid of BPA in all our cans. They were one of only two companies to do that at the time that I know of. But frankly, off record, there's still 17 or something different kind of plastic still mixed in there. Something like that. You may know better. None of which have been tested, most of which could be worse than BPA.
Yeah, exactly. So, the best thing to do is just, when you're consuming something, just avoid plastic if you're storing something in there.
Yeah. So I don't know if this one included it, but does that include cans? Are you talking about that?
I'll talk about that a little later, but they're certainly an issue. Cool. And so, I think, if you're going to do the coffee cup and water bottle, just do the stainless steel. I keep a glass water bottle on my desk at work.
Yeah, mason jars are great.
Yeah, mason jars are amazing.
Clean Canteen makes a really fantastic stainless steel.
Yep, totally. And actually, mason jars are one of the things is next on my list is, you think of plastic bags in the home or reusable Tupperware, disposable Tupperware that you kind of use a few times and gets tossed. Just replace all that with Pyrex and mason jars in your home is like a fantastic thing. You can freeze things in mason jars with just leaving a little room. You can carry lunch in Pyrex or mason jars.
Pyrex often has a plastic lid, right?
Yeah, and I mean, when I'm, and that's just sort of unavoidable. It's part of it. If you're going to warm,
Unless you go on, like, I bought some on eBay, that have the glass lids.
Yep, that's great too.
Fit pretty tightly.
And if I bring my lunch in Pyrex and it has that plastic lid, I'll just remove the lid before I microwave it or something.
Right.
But Pyrex and mason jars are great. Mason jars full of dried foods look nice on the counter.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah, coffee, whatever you put in there. Another thing is just as far as shopping, I think of as the farmer's market. If you can get to a farmer's market, it's the greatest thing. You're going to have delicious plastic-free food. That's like the best thing you can do for buying food, I think.
That hasn't been driven all over the country. It's healthier for you.
Yep.
Often they're criticized for being expensive, but people forget they include tax.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go in the last hour, at least locally, but I think many farmers markets, you can get crazy deals because the farmers don't want to drive back with and waste produce.
Yeah, plus I just think like walking around the farmer's market's a hell of a lot nicer than walking around freaking
super
grocery
fun.
store.
Yeah, the farmer's market is definitely, I call it free therapy. It's like you walk around and you're like, I love life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this comes now for the next one I was thinking about is shop the edges, which you had mentioned earlier. And if not everyone has access to a farmer's market where they live, but you can still do a lot better by shopping the edges of the grocery store, like we talked about a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
You just stick to the healthier stuff along the edge of the grocery store. You'll see far less plastic waste. You'll eat better. You'll get less of those toxins in your body, and you'll create less waste.
And you're not just talking like yuppie, fancy grocery stores. You're talking any old grocery store.
It applies to every grocery store I've ever been in, I think. Yeah, I've never seen one where it didn't.
Right.
Skipping canned foods is a great way. Canned foods, the linings tend to have BPA and, like you mentioned, other chemicals that can get right in.
And no one, including myself, for many years thought about this or thinks about this.
Yeah. And so just skipping canned foods, you can often get the same thing, in glass jars, you get sauces, or you can make it yourself. Another thing at home that I found really interesting, and I'd never given thought to, I'd noticed it, but I'd never really thought about it prior to my reading and researching this book, was the smell that comes off that plastic shower curtain in your house. That PVC shower curtain is actually really, really toxic. And
it's like the new car smell.
Yeah, very toxic. And those fumes can linger in your bathroom for up to like 28 days, I think some experiments found.
Right.
So replacing your PVC shower curtain with a cloth or hemp shower curtain is a great way.
Yeah, being naked or drinking like out of to-go cups, which are usually lined plastic.
Exactly.
People don't realize that. They think they're like paper and they're recyclable or compostable.
Yeah.
They're not.
No, they are not.
So like putting hot water on that plastic and then drinking it, it's like the worst thing.
Oh, yeah.
Or having a shower curtain, being naked and having hot water.
Yep.
It's not a good thing.
No, exactly. You're just vapor. You're basically putting that vapor right into your lungs.
Plastic.
You're like, the steam in the bathroom. It's so relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really bad. Another really toxic avenue that's interesting to think about, and I had never considered before researching this book, was sex toys. They're classified as novelties, which means that they're not intended to ever be used. So the plastics that are used in them are really, really low quality and loaded with phthalates, which are chemicals that have been linked to like cancers and all sorts of horrible things.
So literally the most toxic, the worst plastic, like even the plastic most plastic won't talk to, is put into vibrators and stuff you're putting into your body.
Yeah, basically they take hard plastics and then they use phthalates to slightly soften them. So and they just load these toys with them because there's no one regulating. And I doubt the government is ever going to regulate it.
Yeah,
like,
right.
That's probably pretty low.
Yeah, senators like, we must move. I am unhappy with my dildo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the alternatives are like silicone is clean, and there's a lot of companies now.
Silicone's great, right? It's not plastic.
Silicone is great. Yes,
and it's not plastic at all.
Plastic.
Yeah,
great.
People don't realize that.
Or glass toys. That's something that you see now. And actually, it's pretty funny. There's a few celebrities that have sort of like talked about this openly now. Like I said, like Oprah. I ran into an article where Oprah was talking about toxic sexist toys. So it's
the media loves talking about sex.
Yeah,
wieners love to read it.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then the one thing that really got to me when I was reading about things was receipts. Like you never think about receipt paper, but the thermal paper that receipts are printed on has a ton of BPA on it, and that BPA is really loosely bound. And it can migrate directly through your skin and into your body. And the concentrations that are on these receipts are so high that it's been proposed that it might be the best avenue for BPA to even get into our bodies.
So this is something I've known for a long time, but I didn't, until talking to you, I didn't really get that just touching it.
Yeah. You don't have to eat your receipt.
Is horrible.
Yeah.
You're not just like damaging the environment when you recycle. Are they recyclable receipts?
I don't think they are. I'm
yeah,
not
so
sure.
technically they wouldn't be, actually.
I don't
if they're
think
lined
they
with plastic.
Yeah.
And that slimy feeling is actually just BPA and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like that thermal paper. There's a couple companies now that are making non-BPA receipt paper, but there's no way to tell. Like, you can't.
Right.
It doesn't say like BPA free on it or something, so
Right.
you don't know. You'd have to probably check it out. And
So weird.
by then you're already handling it. If it is, then yeah.
It's such a weird use for BPA too.
Mhm.
Like you wouldn't think you'd need it with ink and paper.
I'm sure there's got to be
Yeah.
easy ways around it. It's
Yeah.
probably just some legacy that no one ever really thought about, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are like the 10 easiest, quickest things I think of when I think of like plastic.
So, as our good friend Dave, who works with Elephant, says, the moral of the story is that we don't need to make perfect the enemy of good. Like, you're not trying to have a plastic-free world. Is that correct?
Correct.
But we can minimize our interaction with plastic quite easily, and it can actually be fun. You have more quality wooden toys for your kid.
Mm-hmm.
You have better, healthy food that's more delicious often.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, more interactions at farmers market.
Yeah.
There's no real downside to go plastic light, right?
No, there really isn't. And oftentimes, you'll even save a little money. You think of like bringing your coffee cup. The coffee's cheaper, it stays hot longer, things like that. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's better coffee because
Yeah.
you know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So don't make perfect the enemy of the good. Read Plastic Purge. It's a good book with a non-plastic cover by Michael SanClements, or Mike. Now that you know him so well. Thank you so much, Mike.